Thank you for joining today's CorelDRAW Master Series webinar. In this video, we'll be covering various ways to mimic embroidery for your designs, logos, and pretty much anything you wish to apply these effects to. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, to start, let's switch to a new page, and we're going to go ahead and cover some of the real simple effects using nothing but the default attributes that can be found here in Corel. So since this is a Corel webinar, we are going to type in Corel. And now that we've got that in there, I'm just going to do a quick center and make it a little bigger so we can see fairly easy. Due to the customizations, you'll notice that things are a lot easier. So over here on our Docker bar, we're just going to click this little circle and we're going to open up the font playground. I'm just going to show you this real quick, but essentially you can go through and add different fonts and see what they're going to look like before you use them. I already had a couple of them in here, and just by clicking the add another sample, you can go in and find all kinds of different fonts. Another couple ways you can use this, since you've already selected your fonts here, if you click your text here, the most recent fonts that were used will show up just like in previous versions. Or with your text typed in here, when you found the one you want, you can just drag out and it is editable text. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one, and I'm going to do a little bit of kerning adjusting and just to satisfy my kerning little issue there. I hate it when people don't kern fonts. It is just it's a major pet peeve of mine. So we don't need the font playground anymore, so I'm just going to go over here and get rid of that, and we'll close these dockers to get them out of our way. I pre-selected some colors, so let's go ahead and we'll fill this one with pink. And I'm not going to go into the color palettes right now. I just selected colors, drug them to my document palette. I've covered color palettes, color styles, and similar attributes in previous webinars, as well as the other CorelDRAW masters covering those as well. So let's go ahead. Alright, first thing you want to do is, with your text or object, is just going to go ahead and open up the outline pen, which is F12 shortcut for those that like to use the shortcuts. And we're going to go ahead and add a outline. I'm going to go ahead and choose my color down here, and I'm going to scale with image. We want round corners and round line caps. One of the neat features Corel added to the X7 graphics suite is the positioning of the outlines. You can put them on the outside of the object, the inside of the object, or the middle position, which has been the default for many previous versions. This is a huge added simple little feature that is a lot bigger than many will think it is, and depending on the methods that you're working with, as far as vinyl cutting and things like that, that can come in really handy, as well as depending on fonts and so forth. So forgot to mention the one main reason, and so now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the style drop down menu, and we are going to pick one of the dashed little outlines right here. So there's all kinds of different defaults, and the cool thing about Corel is you can create your own. So I'm just going to pick one of these dashed and see how it looks, and that looks alright, but personally I think I would like a little bit larger stitch, so we'll try the next one underneath that. There we go. That looks good to me. Now, this right here pretty much is the example I was going to show you. But one of the features, with embroidery is usually there's going to be, let's get this closed real quick. I'll fill it, and I'm going to remove the outline. Send that to the back. Usually there's going to be a little bit of material on both sides of the stitch. And embroidery, I believe this would be considered a running stitch, so there would be material on both sides. So in order to do this feature, what we would have to do is duplicate this object, plus key on your number pad, and then what we would do is we'd go ahead and change this back to a default outline, and I'm going to go ahead and make this twice the size, 4 points. Shift page down to move that to the back, and then I'm going to make the outline the same fill, and that gives us that effect I just described. And just so you can see, let me zoom back in. I'm going to open up the object manager, and here we go. We have two different texts on top of each other. And then you could take this even further by the next step that I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you this with contours rather than outlines, mainly due to the fact of if I used outlines, we'd have to duplicate this Corel text object a bunch, probably 5 or 6 more times with varying size outlines. And if you forget to scale with image, or accidentally forget to convert one of them to curves, it's going to cause issues down the line, especially if you send to another artist. It can really wreak some havoc. So I normally stay away from outlines, except for when I'm doing something really simple like this. So I'm going to go ahead and select both of these objects and copy them and paste these to a new page, and I'm gonna do a Control-S save just in case. Should always save quite frequently. You never know if you're gonna do something funky and crash your computer, depending on the objects and the nodes and what type of outlines you might be trying to put on. It could really wreak some havoc on your system. So always like to save. Now let's see here. As you can see, we have these two objects. I'm going to delete the one at the bottom, and I'm just going to position this top one back in the middle. Just hit the P key on my keyboard, and that puts the object that's selected in the center of the page. That is a default hotkey. You can go under Tools, Customizations, and change all the hotkeys to however you want, as well as create all your custom icons and macros and goodies and buttons and all that stuff. As you can see, my workspace is fairly customized. I've added a lot of my own features, icons, and so forth. Makes life a little easier, and every little button you can save, every movement and every flyout you don't have to go through. It all adds up. Now back to the webinar. Depending on your objects, as you can see, you can get, we don't have a little space right here, so you might have to adjust that outline a little bit. I don't like that. I like this size, and that's due to the way the font was created. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick weld, hit the W key on my keyboard, another default hotkey, and that just converted this text to an object. It is no longer editable text. And I can start cleaning up some of these nodes. So what we're going to do is switch to the shape tool over here on the toolbox, F10, and up here on the property bar, depending on which tool you're using, the property bar is going to switch to the attributes for that tool. So we're going to go to the select all nodes, and it has selected all the nodes. And down here on the bottom it says we have 153 nodes on 5 subpaths. So if I just click this reduce nodes real quick, just now dropped it down to 119 nodes on 5 subpaths. And the subpaths are all these little inside areas. We'll go through and see what the deal is with any of those. But what I like to do after that, a lot of times just that default select all nodes, click reduce nodes is going to do the trick for you. If you noticed, I just did it again and it dropped it down to 114 from 119. But I usually go to the slider, and keeping a close eye on the original object, you can start adjusting these, getting rid of more of these nodes. And pretty much you want to try to keep, you can only go so far or else you totally change the look of the object. So you have to go in increments, and that still looks pretty good, not bad. So now I'm going to go in here, and this right here, these are a little too close. There's really no need for those two. I can just come into this little area and adjust that and pretty much keep the same look. Same thing with this right here. If we made that smooth, that might have fixed it. I'm gonna undo and then just delete it, and that totally changed the shape. So I'm gonna add a node here, delete that, and that's close enough right there. Our stitches and so forth here are a little close, so I'm gonna move this over a little bit, give us that kerning effect again, and just kind of cleaning everything up. So if we go to select all nodes again, you can see we've reduced it even further to 33. So we started out with 153 and we got it down to 33 nodes. That right there is a considerable amount of node reduction, which ultimately is going to help and save a lot of issues down the road. So let's see here. So now that we have this cleaned up, we're going to do the contours real quick, and I'm just going to switch to the contour tool. I've customized and pulled it out. It's found right here in the flyout off the toolbox, but you can pull it out and move it anywhere in the draw space that you like. I have it right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and drag this on out. Since it's interactive, you can do it this way, or you can go in here and start playing with all the features up here on the property bar. Since there was an outline on the original object, it's going to apply that same outline to the contoured object. So we'll have to break this contour apart, and that way we can remove that outline. Open up the properties manager real quick, so you can see right here we have our original object and the contour. And I'm going to switch to the pick tool and select the object and hit Control K. And now you can see we have two different curves, two different objects. I'm just going to select that outer one and remove the outline, and go ahead and reselect it and give it the same color, and now we just mimic that same look. And so by using contours, I only have one object with an outline as opposed to multiple objects where I'd have to, like I said before, you'd have maybe a dozen objects stacked on top of each other, so a lot less stuff to have to worry about. And so there's our quick and easy way of doing the outlines, and gives a quick, easy, good look. I'm going to go ahead and move this up here, put another one And we're going to take this a little further. We'll ungroup this. I'm going to grab this bottom one. This group up here is the one up at the top. So let's grab this. And let's see here. Click show all properties. That way you can see that this one has an outline and this one doesn't. A lot of features inside this object manager. That's a very good tool to have open. Work with layers, and just sit here, click add a new layer. We'll put that original one up there, and I'm gonna go ahead and hide it and zoom out. You can't see it. If I bring the eye back on and zoom, there you can see it. So layers are a great thing. Especially when building a very intricate design, you're able to keep things organized a lot easier that way. So now we're going to go back, select this bottom one, and I'm going to clean up the nodes on this one as well. I don't like this little area, so I'm just going to do a little quick cleanup. Nothing major. That's probably going to be good enough. Yeah, let's just do the slider real. There we go. And you can see some of these nodes that look bunched together. Those are the ones that can be an issue. There's no need for that to be hooked like that. That's part of the font design, but I don't like it, so we're just going to remove that. I'm going to do the same here. Remove those, and I think that's going to be pretty good. Nope, look at that little guy. There's no reason for that, so go ahead and clean this up a little bit, and there you go. Looks a lot better. So now we're just going to go ahead and add 2 more contours, and by switching to the contour tool, I'm just going to go ahead and change it to 2 steps, and I'm going to make it just a little bit larger. And I'm going to break those apart, and then we'll have to ungroup them. Since it was 2 steps, when you break the contour apart, the 2 steps are grouped together. You'll want to ungroup those. Select that first one. I'm going to change the color to green, and I'm going to do it in steps, that way you can see what I'm doing. We're going to grab this top object, the one with the original outline. I'm going to right click and drag it to the green, let go, and we're going to copy the outline. And then we'll just go to this back object and we'll fill it with the same green. And so now we have what looks like 2 different materials sewn on top of each other. This would be more of an applique type of look, and which is very popular in high school sports, letterman jackets, that type of stuff. You can mimic this within screen printing by using specialty inks and high density or suede puff inks for the stitching and so forth, mixed with regular inks, and that's just going to give you a really cool, neat look. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer, which is what that error was. Just so you can see, I went pretty quick. And try to hit group, and layer 2 is locked. So switch back to layer 1. I can group these guys together and hit save. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to copy this. We'll go to another page. And we're going to ungroup, and we're going to show you the other quick, easy way to mimic this look. And I'm going to duplicate this, move it up. I'm going to go ahead and put it on its own layer. And we're going to hide it just for now. And we'll zoom back into these. And we don't need all these objects. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these back too. And we're going to go ahead and change we're just going to remove the outline. If you right click, it'll remove the outline. If you left click, it'll remove the fill. And so you can see, again, fairly easy. Right click removes the outline, left click removes the fill. And we'll go to a lighter shade this time. So now the other quick default attribute way of creating this look. And as with everything in Corel, there's multiple ways to do the same thing. I'm going to get rid of the object properties docker there so we can do some stuff over here real quick. Oh, layer 2 is locked. I'm on the wrong layer. Switch back to layer 1 and we'll hide this sucker. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw an ellipse real quick, and then let's see, we'll fill it with that color, and there's no reason to have an outline on it. I'm going to switch to the text tool, F8, and just going to go ahead and, whoop, didn't click hard enough. And I'm just going to type in a bunch of these. Just holding down the key can give you a whole string of those. Uppercase, lowercase, shouldn't really matter. I do believe you could get away with even using an I, the letter I. I am going to switch to the Arial rounded just to mimic the outline version with the rounded tips. And show you the two different ways we can achieve this. I'm going to duplicate this so we can see both ways. So this feature is just going to be, click on the text string, shift click your object, shift left click your object, and go to text, fit text to path. And we have a little too many there, but this is where you're going to start adjusting your kerning and so forth to get the look that you're after. We want these closer together. I'm not sure if I'm pulling them apart. So let's bring these closer together. And we want the tips of those V's overlapping each other to mimic one single stitch rather than a bunch of these. And zooming in probably would help a little bit. Just get that look. And with any of these effects, you're just going to have to keep playing until you get it the exact look that you're after. And we're getting there. We're almost there. Just a little bit more. I didn't want to go too far over. And I'm just going to go ahead and stick with that. And we do have a little too many on there, so let's, I think I deleted one. And if you click once, it's going to select both. If you click again, it's just going to select the inside. I'm going to copy and paste, bring this out a little bit and shoot it down, and that gives us, let's go ahead and bring this up here again. That's going to give us the same look. Oh, I'm on the wrong page. Page 4. That's kind of giving us that same stitching effect. And then the other way to do this, that's a different stitch style. I'll show you that a little bit later down the line. The other way to do this is, instead of typing a text string and then attaching, you can actually just have your object selected, switch to the text tool. I'm going to zoom in so we can see this hopefully. And if you hover just above the outside, the cursor switches to an A with a squiggly. That's text to a path. So then you would just go ahead and start typing in your V's. And you can get the same look. And it's the same procedure. as the fitting the text to the path we previously did. Once you get all your V's on there, or your I's, whichever one you're after, then do a little bit of kerning to get the effect that you're looking for. Go ahead and delete that. Come back over to this one, and just to bring this a little further, since it is text on a path, you can select the text, and depending on which style text you used, you'll have the attributes to where you can italicize it, give it a little bit of more realistic look, and so forth. So there's a lot of options you can do there, and it all depends on the font you choose, the letters you use, and so you can essentially just apply this to anything. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all this, and we're going to straighten this text, get it back to the long text string, and we don't need that there anymore. And I'm going to go back to rounded, and we're going to do a real quick little edit here. I'm going to break this apart, and we're just going to apply this to the C. Since it's such a fairly intense little graphic with all the nodes, it could cause issues, and so we're just going to do the C to show you how this would work on just this little text string. Do a little bit of cleaning up here real quick, because I know that's going to be an issue. And I didn't mean to delete both of those. So I've got my C selected. Select my text string, shift select, and fit text to path. And as you can see, it's giving us that same effect. You can change the since we're using text, you get all these little options to change. And let's see, we did the rounded, and I'm gonna click, let's see, make sure I get it on there, and then we're gonna go ahead and just keep adding some more V's until we get this completely around. Since it was a more intense graphic, you can see that's why I just did the C instead of the entire word Corel. This feature isn't the best option for this method. It's a lot of text and so forth. So, and then you would again adjust your kerning, and let's just go to the outline pen real quick. Alright, I messed up there. We wouldn't do the outline pen. What we'd do is we'd come over here to the distance from path, and then that's where you can move that to where it's, and again you have to go in there and play with the size, the numbers, until you get it exactly the way you want it. We kind of lucked out based off of the size. Other than the fact that probably would need to go a little bit lower. So let's try again. You just got to get in there and start playing until you get the look you're after. But that just shows you how you can create that stitch effect using letters as text on a path. Pretty simple, old school way. And pretty neat little effect. So I think that's gonna do it for the quick and easy way to do it. And now we're gonna move into the more customized ways of creating the fall embroidery and stitching effects. Okay, now we're going to discuss creating some custom stitch patterns and go ahead and create some custom spray lists via the artistic media tool, which is going to give us a lot more flexibility and true custom look. What I would suggest is Googling what would be textile industry or just industrial sewing machine patterns, stitches, and you'll come up with all sorts of results. And I've gone ahead and got a couple of those, and what we're going to do is, well, let's go ahead and import both of these real quick. I'm just going to do one of them's smaller than the other, so we'll go ahead and kind of match that size. It's very low resolution files, so just some found images on the internet. But they're both satin stitches. Essentially, this one over here on the right, it would be a 2-point, just down at the bottom, then up at the top, down at the bottom, up at the top. Then you've got a 3-point and a 4-point pattern over here as well for the stitches. And the little circles you can see here, kind of a little fuzzy because of the image. That's where the needle would penetrate the fabric and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and delete that, and let's center this satin. And I'm going to go ahead and lock this layer, put a new layer on, so we can go ahead and mimic this satin stitch. And there's obviously a couple of ways you could do this as well. You can change the properties of your outlines to a different color so you can see. Another way I like to do is just go ahead and apply a transparency to the bitmap that I'm tracing. Even just the default usually is enough. Sometimes you might want to go a little bit less or a little bit more, and to where your outlines stand out a lot better. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit, and we're going to switch to our freehand tool, which is F5. And I'm going to go ahead and click, and holding my control key, I'm constraining. That way I create a straight line. And then I'm going to double click again, and I'm going to bring this one down. You can use guides and so forth, snap to guides, but just another quick little trick here is to make sure these two are correctly the same size. I'll just switch to my shape tool and come up here, and we'll align these nodes horizontally, so now they're perfect. And then we're just going to go ahead and duplicate this. And again, there's multiple ways you can do this. You can do this under transformations, and depending on the size, you'll have to input the different values for the positioning and so forth. So just to make this easy, let's see here, I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this once, select this bottom node, and I'm going to undo that. Let's see, make sure I have my snap to objects on, and now it's snapped. Now I can just duplicate the rest, and I'm going to go ahead and select all these, marquee select them, and Control L, combine those, and then got to go in here and make these, we're going to join these nodes. That way this is one continuous line. And you don't really have to do this step. This is where I'm particular about everything. I want everything perfect, and it'll save issues down the line. So now that we have our lines there, I'm just going to make them a little thicker so you can see, and there we go. So we've essentially just created a satin stitch. And so now what we're going to do is we are going to show you how to turn this into a sprayer and be able to do some really cool stuff really quick. So I've got this in outline mode, that way I can change attributes fairly quickly and easy. A little more flexibility than if they were converted to objects and converted to curves. So over here are outlines, and over here it's actually an object. So I have a little bit more flexibility with this for this exact feature of why we're doing. So now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and select the artistic media tool. On the toolbox it's this little squiggly line right here, or the default hotkey is the I, and it's going to switch to the pen. This is where this tool is great with Wacom tablets and pressure sensitive pens, and you can do some really cool drawings. The default is going to be at the presets right here. We want to come over here to the sprayer, and again, with any tool that you use, the property bar switches to all the attributes, and there's all kinds of defaults in here, and it gives you the options to create your own custom ones. You can even go in and edit the default ones, adding, removing, doing. There's just all kinds of stuff that you can do. So now that we have this open, let's go ahead and open up the artistic media docker, which will be right here. And this is going to be the easiest way to do this. And what we want to do right now, it's at the custom, and what we're going to go over here, we're going to get rid of the presets, and we're just going to have object sprayer. So now that we have just the sprayer clicked, I actually turned it off. I've clicked on my object right here. Then you just come down to this little button right here, save, and click save. And the dialog that pops up, we're creating a new stroke. We're doing object sprayer, not brushes. So switch to object sprayer, click OK, and it's going to bring up another dialog, the save as, and this is where you'll save. So we'll type this in, satin, and we'll go ahead and click save. We're in the customization folders, and so you can actually create your own folders. And so let's just go ahead and create a folder in this webinar stitches. Hopefully I spelled that right. I'm an artist. I can't type. And there we go. Now you scroll down to the very bottom of the list down here, and you can see it's been added. So essentially I can just click this button, that sprayer item right there, and then just start drawing, and it's going to spray. So we're zoomed in, and so you can kind of see the pattern that it's given us right there. I'm going to go ahead and create a straight line, and this works, both freehand. Gotta actually switch to the proper tool. You can just draw freehand, or you can apply to objects. So you would select your object and then just double click the sprayer. And then up here on the property bar is where you're going to start playing with your different options. And there we go. I had a large number up there, so we just need to keep reducing this until we get to the proper look. So again, this is where you have to just keep playing until you get it the way the look you're after. So and it's also based on the size, so you might wind up having to create multiple sizes depending on the object. This, as you can see, this is rather large, so I'm going to duplicate this, move it to the side, and I'm going to just shrink it down about, let's say about halfway. I forgot to change all properties, the outline, and forgot to, nope, we got it scale with image, that's why it got real tiny. So I'm going to switch back to my artistic media tool. I'm going to click this, go ahead and click save, object sprayer, OK, and webinar stitching, and SATIN, satin small. And so now we have added at the bottom of our list an even smaller one. So let's see here, I'm going to go ahead and draw another straight line. Nope, accidentally clicked the wrong one there. We've got that added. And then you just start playing, and this is where, depending on the size and the size of the shape, you can start changing all the other attributes. So now that we showed you how to create that one real quick, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to this original Corel, and I'm going to copy and paste that, and let's go ahead and open up our object manager so we can see what we're working with here. And we're on page 6, so let's see, don't need that. What we want to do is get rid of the outline, move that back. I'm going to go ahead and change the color so you can see what we're doing here. And I'm going to just go ahead and get this added. Let's see, let me move this up real quick. I'm going to go ahead and weld, convert both of these to objects. Let's clean up these nodes again real quick. And I'm going to delete this back one because we're going to need a lot larger contour. So get that cleaned up a little. If I remember correctly, there was a funky node around here. And then there was one over here. So it's good enough for government work right there. So now what we'll do is go ahead and apply a contour. We only want one, but we want a rather large one. So, and I'm going to go ahead and change this to a different color just for now, just so we can see it easily. Break it apart, and we're going to select that top object, open this back up. As you can see, we've got the two objects. I'm on the green Corel, and we'll switch to the sprayer, and we'll double click, and as you can see, it just added. But let's go ahead and make a smaller one. So essentially what we did was this. Make sure those two are aligned. Duplicate. Boom. And once you get that first one in, as long as you don't deselect, you can just hit Control D and it'll just continually duplicate in the exact same distance and position. And I don't want to do that many because I want to combine So let's do, just back up to these 4, and we'll combine these. And if you had snapped objects and grids and so forth, you could just continually create this pattern, just with one simple stroke. And again, and then align. Again, many different methods to do the same deal. And let's get our outline. Change our properties. Make sure scale's on. And I think we're good to go. I'm going to change this to a different color. Let's see here. We'll make this light green so it'll stand out. And as you can see, that would have been way too big, so we're going to make this a lot smaller to give us the general idea. And I think that's going to work. And then I'm just going to adjust my outline. I like that size right there, I believe. And let's do 0.75 just to give us a little bit of options. Alright, switch to the Artistic Media tool, I. We'll click on the object we want to turn into a sprayer. We'll click Save, Object Sprayer, OK. And we'll name it Pink Satin. I'm going to go ahead and hit Save. And as you can see, the pink one's now been added. So actually I'm going to leave that up there. I'm just going to nudge it up out of the way a little bit. And actually I'm just going to copy this. That way we can get Corel as large as possible. So we'll copy that and select the top object. And I always do that. To start clicking too fast, so I'm going to select it and then click it, and then now we need to start adding more. And because we made it real small, we're going to have to change this number, and this will be a lot lower number. So let's try 0.5, 0.1. It's getting a lot better. So now we can just start start lowering until we get it a little bit closer. And what we're going to do is go ahead and change the angle of rotation relative to path. Changed it to 90 degrees, and then just hit enter. And depending on the way you create your pattern is going to determine on how you need to adjust these features. That might have been a little too much, 90, so I changed it to 15, and that looks a lot better. So now you can see, let's go ahead and make that original one. So now that I filled it, you can see we're missing half of it. So we'll get rid of that fill, and then the one underneath we'll make solid. And now it looks like it's been it's got a nice satin stitch there. I'm gonna do something here real quick and see if we can't actually, let's try this. I'm gonna copy that, undo, and get rid of the satin there. There we go. Now we'll shoot that back on. So now it looks like we've embroidered the word Corel, a piece of material with some satin. And I have some samples here of different stitch patterns. Again, do a Google search, industrial machine stitching patterns and so forth. There's so many different industries that use sewing and use different patterns. These are different type of stitch patterns. stitch types. Here's a couple different sewing machine patterns that you can find on the internet, and then some actual stitch types I want to show you. This is a satin stitch for embroidery, and as you can see, we're kind of mimicking that look with our sprayer item. I'm going to go ahead and change the color of this to black so it stands out a little bit more, and as you can see, we've done a pretty good job of mimicking that. Going in here, you're going to need to do some adjustments, but you can definitely get it pretty darn close. So let's just go ahead and do it on a straight line, and let's see, 0.1. So, and I'm going to make this a red color so can I see. So as you can see, it's looking pretty darn close. Now, this is the image that I imported, this big red one right here. That's actually what it looks like in a digitizing program, and these show you where all the needle points and stuff go in. So when you're creating your actual stitch pattern, like this one right here that we showed earlier, essentially what you can do is go in there and add a little bit of let's get rid of that. A little, if you had that on every little stitch point, you'll see that it'll mimic a little bit better. So the more detail you get in, even the better. Even with this look, you could go in here, and that's 7.8, so let's make this 6.5, and as you give it an even outline type look as well. So the more detail you put into your actual sprayer, the more realistic it is going to look. So one more feature with this type of effect, I'm gonna nudge this up out of the way and I'm gonna go ahead and close these dockers real quick, and let's save. So I am gonna go back to the original, and we're gonna add a new page here real quick. We'll copy this. Now I'm gonna bring up our properties so I can see what we're working with. And what we're gonna do is we're going to import. Oh, wrong one. Let's see, pattern, stitch samples. I need to go up one more. So we've got some raster textures, and let's see which color. We've got the pinks, so I'm going to do the blue real quick. This is a texture found online, royalty free. Just make sure if you use purchased texture that you actually purchase that texture. And I'm just going to do this quickly, and you can create your own bitmap pattern out of this, make it a default, and I'm just going to do a real quick power clip just to show, and zooming that down, and let's see, arrange, power clip, place inside, and I want that outside. I probably should have zoomed in. Yes. So actually, let's just nudge that one out of the way. Arrange, power clip. That's going too fast. I do this all the time. I start clicking way too fast. Arrange, power clip, place inside. There we go. Now we'll remove the fill, bring this down, and then we have the outline here position. Which one do we have? This one. We have on the outside, so let's move this one to the inside. And then aha, that's what it was. We had an outline on it. I knew something was funky. So there, we moved it to the inside. That doesn't look right. We need that contoured. So let's go ahead and apply a contour real quick. 0.5. Actually 0.05, excuse me. Should be a good enough. And then we want to select this power clipped object, and it gives you some nice little tools here, so you can extract it and select the power clip is what we want. I'm gonna hit copy, and then what I'm gonna do is paste, send it back, effects, arrange, excuse me, power clip, place inside, and we'll move that to the back, and now we can pull our outlines on top. And take this even further, we'll go in and start sampling some of the colors to get us a nice color to change that stitch. Can't really see it, so let's go ahead and try a darker color. That's a little better. And I'm going to zoom out, so now you can see that looks even more. Let's also, because the pattern, you can kind of see the pink in the background. If I were to just change that color real quick, wrong one, need to do it on the one below it. It kind of gets rid of it. That's why you'd actually want to go in there and make that a true two-color pattern, and you wouldn't see that. But this right here just goes to show some of the power that you can do. And then again, I'm going to select just this object, and I'm going to go ahead and put just a default outline on it, and we're going to apply our satin stitch to it. So we're going to switch to the eye tool, open up our artistic media, we've got our path selected, and let's see, let's weld this, get rid of it from being text. 0.25, 0.1, and again, you just got to keep playing with the numbers until you get it correctly. I think we did a 15-degree angle on this, and relative to path. So zoom that down, nudge that down. And actually, I want to add some of these colors. Into our little document palette there. So we'll click OK. That's a rather large bitmap. I probably should have reduced the size. That's why it's doing a little bit of thinking there. So actually I'm going to go in here into this power clip, and let's convert this real quick. Let's do 100 RGB. This will make things go a little faster. We had two objects, so I'd need to do the same thing, but what I'm just going to do is copy, get inside this one, delete it, paste, nudge the same amount, and so now it's going a little bit faster. So there we go. Now it looks like we've stitched that puffy material, and as you can see, little pieces are going to need to be edited again. And that's the fine detail. That's what's going to make or break your design. The more detailed, the more accurate it's going to look. I do want to show you one. Whoop. Let me just go ahead and bring that back where it was. Get down there. We'll hit save. Move down here. And we're going to copy this very original one again. And nudge this up. Control Q. Going to convert these. And I'm going to go ahead and add the contour. Make this rounded this time. And let's bring this up. Now that power clip was just one way you can add fills. Another way is you can go to the edit fill dialog, which is F11, and you have all sorts of default fills, texture fills. Click this little fly out, gives you all kinds of different bitmap textures where you can change the colors, and bitmap pattern fills. Again, you would open up the fly out and see, I'm clicking too fast and it's trying to think and load all these different patterns. So we'll just give it a second. There we go. And then you've got all these right here. You even have a search option. And right now we're on the content exchange, and this is where you can create your own patterns, upload it to the exchange, and share with other users. And these are some of the different ones other users have created, and you can drag them to your favorites, and there's just all kinds of options that you can do. Let's see here. Oh no, what did I click? What did I click? Okay, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and drop this one down size, and just to show you the different options, 0.25. That's just a little too much, so it's probably 0.5 was going to do it for this one, just for the size that we are. And then I'll get rid of this fill, bring this down, and change the outline color just so you can see it. We're going to get rid of the default, or switch it back to a default solid line. And we'll go back up to the sprayer. .05, and just off of memory, 15 degrees relative to path, and let's say we made that black, or can't really see that, so again you gotta just get in there and play, but this right here gives you another idea. And this is just a simple satin stitch. Control save. Go to the next page. Again, you do a little bit of Google searching. There's all kinds of stitch patterns and fills, all kinds of stuff that you can import, and just wanted to pull this one up and show you based off of a couple different patterns that were found on the internet. Cover stitch, satin stitch, edge on seam, zigzag. What we did earlier was kind of, the zigzag is almost like the satin stitch using the letter V. Looks like the zigzag as well. Then you've got zippers. One thing I do want to mention and show you is we're gonna kind of do a little funky, make it look like a open zipper, and show you how the sprayers can work with that as well. So go back to our artistic media. I already have all these in here for the benefit of the webinar, but this shows you how you can create them. But again, you just go on here and start playing until you got the look that you were after. Now, the one thing with the zippers is, like I had mentioned earlier, you saw how I mirrored this. Well, technically it really didn't mirror, because it mirrored the line, the path, but it didn't mirror the actual pattern. So I'm going to break that pattern. That way we just have the path. And let's see, CV, copy and paste. This right here is the sprayer we use to create these zippers right there. And then what you'll need to do to create the other zipper is mirror this and create a new sprayer item right here. So this would be zipper right, and then you'd have one for zipper left. This would be zipper left. So I'm going to go ahead and select my path, and then there's our zipper left, and then I think I did 0.25, and I'm just doing this real quick, and then you would just adjust these to line these up, and that kind of doing some tweaking. There's a little more than there needs to be, but that would give you that open zipper look. Whether it be, say, a pair of shorts, drawing with the mouse really quick. So there's your open pair of shorts right there. But again, just to show you the power of the sprayers, and with all the different zipper patterns, stitch patterns, and so forth, you can come up with some really cool designs. And here's, on this page right here, are some other pattern options. These are also different stitch patterns from different industries and actual stitches, and a lot of these I already have in, so I'm just gonna go ahead and create this line real quick, and let's open this up, and let's see. So this one right here, because it was created vertically, I'm going to hit 90 degrees to rotate it, and 0.75, 0.5, and there we go. And that gives us a different type of stitch pattern as well. So you can apply these to all sorts of logos, graphics, to create both textures, boundaries, all types. The options are endless what you can do with these. So I hope this webinar was a little informative and you learned how to create some of your own sprayer items. We focused on, you know, stitching and embroidery, and but you can apply this to anything. You can create bullet holes. You can create and spray those along a path. You can create rivets for if you are rendering out an airplane, or, you know, a locomotive engine or something that has rivets all over it. Easy way to apply these. And again, the more detail you use, the better. The more realistic it's going to be. And just to do a final, we'll create one last one, and I'm gonna make this a little bit small, and we're gonna create these. It's a group of objects too. It's a group of 6 objects. So this COREL balloon. Save it in my folder here, and I'm gonna hit save. Move to another page. Switch to my tool. Grab my balloon. Just draw some squiggly lines, and now we have a bunch of Corel balloons floating all over our design. So there you have it. We have pretty much concluded our webinar for the day, and I just want to pop this little last little bit up and just mention that if you go to my website, www.fluiddsn.com, go to the resources page, I am going to have a couple of stitch types in a PDF format that you'll be able to download and import or open into Corel, and you'll be able to easily turn those into patterns for your designs. This is what's going to be the extra content. I list down here are previews of what they'll look like on the path, and these will be your actual objects that you use to create your sprayer items. So I hope the webinar was informative and is giving you all sorts of ideas to jazz up your designs. Stay Corellian, my friends.